This video continues where the last one left off. Abandon your fears. I keep saying that just because, the more I repeat it, hopefully the more likely it is that you'll understand that this is a big one. The fear is the main reason creative people never fully develop their talents. They're afraid of criticism, they're afraid of being bad, they're afraid of messing up what they've already done. I still experience all of that. Decades and decades of practice, and I still experience it. And so there are some things you can do. And one of those is tell yourself that you're not afraid, that you're excited. It's crazy how well that works. I do it all the time. Tell yourself you're going to do one thing and you'll put it down and walk away. And sometimes I will do that. I really want to work on something, but I'm so afraid I'm going to mess it up. I'll do one thing and then I'll walk away and then I'll come back and I'll do one thing. And eventually, slowly, it'll get done. And what that does is it takes that pressure off of yourself to finish it. It takes the big picture pressure off of yourself and allows you to just focus on one little tiny thing. How could I possibly screw up putting one thing on there? And really, it helps. And not only is it okay to be weird, but it's often considered the ideal state of mind for every creative genius. And here are a few examples of people throughout history, artists throughout history, who in some way, shape, or form are all considered weird. As I keep saying, normal is boring. I don't want to be normal. In fact, I want to be weird. And I don't mean weird, creepy, because we all know that what that does is clear the room. But what we mean by weird is we want to be different. We want to see the world differently. That's how we become very creative. So Frida Kahlo, right? She was one of the most prominent artists, female artists. Most people don't even know, couldn't name a female artist except her. But everybody knows Frida. Well, almost everybody. And she expressed her weirdness in the many ways she painted herself. Talk about symbolism. If you like her work, it's just loaded with symbolism. She's a good one to research. So when you ask an artist about their work, most will explain it. But Pablo Picasso would get out his gun and point it at people who wanted him to explain his work. Obviously, that's weird behavior. He didn't have bullets in the gun, but yeah, definitely weird behavior. So the Eameses, they actually were architects who designed buildings, but also furniture. And their furniture is still very hot today. You can still buy their furniture. It's still made. And one of their designs was a xylophone tower. And if a new employee joined their company, they had to spend their first day at the musical tower. They considered that one of their rituals because they believed the musical encounter would give you some perception, give them some perception about the new person based on what they did. I'd have gotten fired. I'm not a musical person at all. And I have no rhythm. And Louis Barragan, he would eat meals that were made out of a single color. Like he would say, I just want a pink meal. And so everything had to be pink. And, that's weird, but it's also cool. Do something that scares you, and then do it again and again and again and again until you're no longer afraid of it. Talk to someone you would never talk to. I started talking to a homeless man at a library once, and I had been raised to be afraid of homeless people. And I got to know him pretty well, and every time I saw him, we would talk, and he had the most amazing stories. You'll be amazed what you can learn from the people you used to avoid because they made you uncomfortable. Research a taboo or uncomfortable subject to erase your ignorance about it. What is something that you were taught to be afraid of, or taught was evil or bad or wrong? Just research it. I'm not saying you go do it, because maybe it is something that you should avoid. But make that decision based on research and information. Andy Warhol actually was a huge advocate for transvestites back when it was considered taboo to be a transvestite. And he actually helped change the way they were viewed. He was sort of integral to their rehabilitation. Actually, I don't like that word because it means he was their image. He rehabilitated their image into something that was fun and lovable. And now transvestite shows are very popular and no longer taboo. So your growth as an artist comes from your growth as a human being. It is likely the first time you do something, you may not do it well. Most people don't. Do it again anyway, applying what you have learned from your experience. You will have learned. Bravery is being afraid and doing something anyway. Confidence comes from the habit of facing your fears every day until you conquer them. In fact, that's CBT therapy. You take what you're afraid of and you live with it and you hold it and you evaluate it until it doesn't hurt anymore. Your favorite artists all started where you are now, and they didn't let their critics stop them. Why should you? So while the principles and elements of design are objective, taste is subjective. People like different things, and even if you make great art, someone will say they don't like it. But because it's their opinion and their opinion matters to them, they will say your art sucks. They're wrong. It's their opinion and nothing more. Don't let those people's opinions influence you, your life, or your work. Do your thing and your audience will find you. At the end of the day, you can become more creative if you're willing to dedicate yourself to it. Increased creativity is a product of habit and dedication. Initially, it may feel uncomfortable, but that will fade the more you stick with it. Yeah, I mean, I remember in high school, oh, nobody wants to be weird. But now I'm like, I go out of my way to be weird. I'm proud of my weirdness. People laugh. They think it's funny. I mean, I'm being funny. I'm not trying to be not funny and they're laughing at me. Humans actually like change. There was a study on this. What we don't like are the uncomfortable transitions. I've always said for years, I love change. I hate the transitions. But those transitions are temporary compared to a lifetime of new skills that will make a difference in your work and ultimately your career. Invest in yourself. Become more creative. You'll only ever regret not doing it sooner. References? And one thing that when I used to teach a class live that I haven't taught in a while, and I actually had my students go out and do a photography scavenger hunt. I would tell them things that I wanted them to go out and photograph, and they would go out and creatively photograph it. So do things like that. It's fun. Do it with a friend, or find somebody that is open-minded and go with them. You don't want to take anybody who's negative and doesn't want to do anything. Go with somebody who's very open-minded, and start to see things in a different way. Embrace what you see. I tell my husband all the time, I'm like, okay, well, I see a face. He never sees them, right? I'm like, I see a face, and I start describing it. It's like, do you see it? He's like, no. I'm like, I see it. It's okay to be you. And I know society tries to get us all to be the same person and fit these rules. But that's one of the burdens of being an artist is that but it's also one of the joys is that we don't fit in those boxes. We're never going to fit in those boxes. So why try? Why pain yourself trying to fit in the box? Okay, so we're going to end this here along with Module 4, and then we'll move into Module 5 next. See you there.